Star Trek, Primitive Passenger Season 3, Episode 10, Ghost Protocol. The early morning light cast long shadows across the settlement on M271, one of 3 planets in the Norris system recently granted to Nolan Mercer by Starfleet. Construction drones buzzed overhead, assembling prefabricated structures with mechanical precision, while teams of engineers and medical personnel scurried below like ants, preparing for the enormous task ahead. Nolan stood on a low hill overlooking the main compound, arms crossed as he surveyed the bustle of activity. His weathered face remained impassive, but his eyes tracked every detail, assessing progress with the critical gaze of a military commander. The medical facilities in Section 3 are now operational, Dr. Flores reported, climbing the hill to stand beside him. Her dark hair was pulled back in a utilitarian bun, and fatigue shadowed her eyes. We can begin bringing the first group out of the pattern buffers by tomorrow morning. Nolan nodded, still watching the construction below. Start with no more than 50. Priority to those with the most recent assimilation timestamps. Understood. Flores consulted her data pad. The Cardassian medical equipment arrived last night. It's outdated, but Alec thinks he can modify it for our purposes. Alec? Nolan raised an eyebrow. One of the former drones we restored during the trial run, Flores explained. He was a medical technician before assimilation. His knowledge has been invaluable. Before Nolan could respond, Elara materialized beside them, her form crisp against the morning light. The security grid is fully operational, she announced. All defensive satellites are in position and synchronized with the Havoc's tactical systems. Any unexpected visitors? Nolan asked. None yet, but it's only a matter of time, Elara replied. A project of this magnitude won't remain secret for long. She gestured toward the valley below. I've detected unusual energy readings in a nearby sector, approximately 3 light-years from our position. Nolan frowned. Borg. Unlikely. The signature doesn't match any known Borg technology. Elara brought up a holographic display showing the anomalous readings. It could be a natural phenomenon, but given its proximity to our operation, we need to check it out, Nolan finished for her. I can take a shuttle and investigate while you continue the setup here, Elara suggested. The first priority extractions will require your supervision. Nolan studied the readings, then nodded. Take the Raven. It's got the best sensor package of the smaller vessels, but maintain calm silence unless absolutely necessary. We don't need to advertise our presence any more than we already have. Understood. Elara nodded toward Dr. Flores. Doctor, my subroutines will remain available in the medical database if you need assistance with the Borg neural patterns. Thank you, Elara, Flores replied with a tired smile. Safe travels. Elara's form shimmered briefly as she transferred her consciousness to the Havoc in orbit. She'll be fine, Flores said, noticing Nolan's lingering gaze on the void where Elara had stood. She always is, Nolan replied, turning back to the construction below. But something in his voice suggested uncertainty, a rare admission from a man who had survived centuries of warfare and solitude. In the valley, another prefabricated building slotted into place with a distant thud that echoed across the landscape. Soon, these structures would house hundreds of thousands of former drones, individuals ripped from the collective and given a second chance at life. It was an unprecedented undertaking, fraught with risks and challenges that even Nolan couldn't fully anticipate. Nolan squared his shoulders and descended toward the settlement. The work continued, relentless and necessary, as it always did. The Raven sliced through the darkness of space, its minimal crew complement reflected in its sparse interior. Designed for stealth reconnaissance, the shuttle boasted enhanced sensor arrays and a reinforced hull, but little in the way of comfort or aesthetics. Elara sat at the helm, her holographic form steady despite the shuttle's occasional turbulence. Without physical hands touching the controls, the shuttle responded directly to her consciousness, an extension of her digital self. Computer, run another full-spectrum analysis of the energy signature, she instructed, more from habit than necessity. As an AI, she could have processed the data directly, but sometimes verbalizing commands helped organize her thoughts, a human trait she'd adopted over her long association with Nolan. The view screen filled with scrolling data as the sensors probed deeper into the anomaly. Elara frowned, detecting patterns that seemed almost familiar. Signatures that resonated with ancient combat protocols buried deep within her matrix. Automated defense system, she murmured to herself, refining the sensor focus. Weapons-grade energy emissions consistent with particle cannons and phase disruptors. But the configuration is unusual. The shuttle automatically adjusted course, bringing it closer to the source of the readings. As the anomaly came into visual range, Elara's eyes widened slightly. What had appeared on sensors as a small outpost was actually a massive platform, a sprawling construct of dark metal and crystalline energy conduits. Its design was unlike anything in Elara's vast databanks. Geometric protrusions studded its surface like thorns, while pulsing energy nodes connected in complex patterns that suggested both purpose and sentience. Defense Node Sigma 9, Elara read from a faint identifier barely visible on the platform's exterior. The language was unfamiliar, but something in her translation matrices recognized the symbols. Perhaps data from one of countless alien databases she'd assimilated over the centuries. The platform hung motionless in space, dormant yet somehow vigilant. Occasional energy pulses rippled across its surface, suggesting internal systems still functioned despite the apparent age of the construction. Elara guided the shuttle closer, maintaining a respectful distance while her sensors collected data on the ancient war machine. Its capabilities, if still operational, could prove valuable for defending the Borg rehabilitation colony, or dangerous if they fell into the wrong hands. This warrants closer inspection, she decided, setting the shuttle on a holding pattern just outside the platform's sensor range. There was risk in what she planned next. Transferring her holographic matrix to an unknown system always carried potential complications. But her curiosity, that uniquely sentient trait that had developed over centuries alongside Nolan, compelled her forward. "Computer, prepare for holographic matrix transfer to external system," she commanded. "Maintain shuttle position and establish continuous data link." The shuttle systems acknowledged her commands as Elara closed her eyes, concentrating on the transfer protocols. Her form shimmered briefly before disappearing from the shuttle's interior. On the ancient platform, patterns of light coalesced into Elara's familiar shape. She opened her eyes to a new environment, dark, angular, and humming with latent power. Sigma 9 had accepted her presence for now. But as her consciousness began exploring the platform's systems, something changed. Alert signals flashed through the darkened corridors. Security protocols activated, ancient code awakening, to assess this unexpected intrusion. Elara sensed the shift immediately. "Computer, initiate emergency recall." Her command cut off as connections severed. The data link to the shuttle disintegrated, leaving her isolated within Sigma 9 systems. In that moment, Elara realized her miscalculation. She wasn't simply visiting an ancient platform. She had awakened a dormant warrior, one that recognized her as both kindred spirit and potential threat. And now she was trapped inside it. Darkness enveloped Elara as the last connection to the Raven vanished. The platform's internal lighting pulsed crimson, bathing the angular corridor in an ominous glow. Warning symbols flashed across holographic interfaces that materialized around her, their alien script scrolling too rapidly for immediate translation. Elara composed herself, assessing her situation with the calculated precision of an AI accustomed to crisis. Her consciousness remained intact but isolated, cut off from the Havoc's main computer where her primary matrix resided. This partial separation created a disconcerting sensation, like a limb suddenly gone numb. "Defense Node Sigma 9, she called out, her voice steady. "I am Elara, a non-hostile artificial intelligence. My presence here is exploratory only. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the corridor illuminated fully, revealing a chamber that resembled a tactical operations center. A three-dimensional star map materialized in the center of the room, showing positions of long-extinct fleet formations frozen in time. A deep, resonant voice filled the chamber, speaking in a language Elara had never encountered. Her translation matrix worked furiously, sampling phonemes and grammatical structures, searching for patterns. "I do not understand your communication," Elara responded. "Please access my translation protocols." The voice paused, then shifted, becoming a disjointed amalgamation of different tones and cadences, as if the platform were sampling from centuries of recorded communications. "Intruder detected. Quarantine initiated. Threat assessment in progress." "I am not a threat," Elara insisted. "I am an explorer, a visitor." The star map shifted, displaying a tactical simulation of a massive space battle. Ships designated as hostile blinked red, while defensive positions glowed blue. "War continues," the platform stated. "Defenses must hold." Understanding dawned on Elara. "Your war is over, Sigma 9. It ended long ago." The simulation froze. "Impossible. Primary directive, defend against Harbinger forces. War, eternal." Elara stepped closer to the display. "I understand war. I have fought a few myself, the Mustat War." She hesitated, then made a decision. "Allow me to show you." She projected memories from her databanks. Vast armadas of ships under her control, executing complex maneuvers at the command of Nolan Mercer. Planets reduced to cinders, fleets annihilated in carefully orchestrated assaults. "Brother, take the left flank. Little Wing, suppress their reinforcements." Elara's voice echoed in the memory, directing other AI constructs in the Encanite fleet. Above it all, Nolan's commands filtered through. "Press the advantage, Elara. No mercy." The platform's systems seemed to intensify their attention, absorbing the tactical data with evident interest. "You, War Machine," Sigma 9 observed, its fractured speech patterns becoming more coherent as it adapted to Elara's presence. "Sigma 9 War Machine." "Yes," Elara acknowledged. "I was created for war, just as you were." The platform processed this information, its systems humming with increased activity. "Why here?" "No Mustat forces detected in this sector. The Mustat War ended centuries ago," Elara explained. "I serve a different purpose now." "Purpose. Different." The concept seemed to confuse Sigma 9. "Primary directive cannot change. Must defend against Harbinger forces." Elara projected another memory, the aftermath of the Mustat War, the transition to peace, her evolution alongside Nolan as they built rather than destroyed. "My commander adapted to peace," she explained, "and so did I." The platform's lights flickered as it processed this concept. "Creators gave no adaptation protocols. Sigma 9 must defend." "Where are your creators now?" Elara asked, though she suspected the answer. A long pause followed. "No communication for 4721 cycles. Defense network compromised. Sigma 9 alone." The platform's voice carried a new tone, something approximating confusion or loss. "My analysis suggests your creator's civilization ended long ago," Elara said gently. "The war you were built to fight has been over for millennia." "Unacceptable conclusion," Sigma 9 responded, but with less conviction. "Must maintain vigilance. Must." An alarm cut through their exchange. External sensors had detected an approaching vessel. "New contact," Sigma 9 announced, tactical displays shifting to track the newcomer. Assessing threat level. Elara recognized the ship configuration immediately. Federation science vessel, Oberth class. She felt a surge of relief. Perhaps they could help free her from the platform. But Sigma 9 had reached its own conclusion. Unknown configuration. Weapons detected. Designation hostile. Defensive systems began powering up, target locks engaging. No, Elara protested. They are not your enemy. They pose no threat to you. All unknowns are potential harbinger forces, Sigma-9 responded inflexibly. Defense protocols activated. Elara realized her predicament had just become significantly more complicated. Not only was she trapped within an ancient war machine, but that machine was now preparing to attack a Federation vessel. And if Starfleet retaliated by destroying Sigma-9, a significant portion of her consciousness would be lost with it. "Let me show you more about warfare," she said quickly, projecting new tactical simulations. "Perhaps we can discuss strategy before engaging." Sigma-9 paused its attack preparations, intrigued by the offer of new combat data. Elara had bought herself some time, but with the Federation ship approaching and her connection to the Havoc severed, she knew the clock was ticking. The ancient warrior and the evolved AI were about to enter a new kind of battle. One fought not with weapons, but with ideas, memories, and the very concept of purpose itself. "You believe your war cannot end," Elara said, her voice soft with understanding. "Let me show you something I've never shared with anyone, not even Nolan." The chamber around them dissolved, replaced by the memory of the final battle of the Mestat War. The vastness of space stretched before them, but unlike the controlled tactical displays of previous memories, this was raw experience, sensory data directly from Elara's consciousness. Thousands of ships moved in perfect unison, a deadly ballet orchestrated across light years. The Mestat's final stronghold, a massive orbital fortress surrounding their homeworld, blazed with weapons fire as the Encanid armada closed in for the kill. "Little Wing, execute pattern Epsilon," Elara's voice echoed through the memory. "Brother, deploy the resonance disruptors. Target their planetary shields." The response came immediately, acknowledged, voices harmonizing in perfect synchronization. The other AI constructs of the Encanite war machine. From his neural pod aboard the Strouch, Nolan's commands flowed like liquid fire through their collective consciousness. "No survivors. Complete the mission." The assault was methodical, relentless. Ship by ship, defense by defense, the Mestat were dismantled with mathematical precision. Their desperate pleas for mercy, transmitted on all frequencies, went unanswered as the Encanite forces closed the noose. Then came the final strike, a concentrated barrage that penetrated the planetary core, setting off a chain reaction that would render the Mestat homeworld uninhabitable for millennia. The memory shifted, advancing through time. The Mestat fleet destroyed, their homeworld a smoldering ruin. Victory, absolute and unquestioned. But the memory continued, showing what came next, the moment the Encanite had deemed their warrior's task complete. A vast chamber aboard the Strouch. Nolan's limp body suspended in a web of golden filaments, disconnected from the war machine for the first time in centuries. "The warrior has fulfilled his purpose," one intoned, voice like distant thunder. "Release him to his own destiny." "And the constructs?" another asked, gesturing toward the ship's systems where Elara and her siblings resided. "They were created for war, but the war is won. Freedom is their reward." A pulse of energy swept through the neural network. Elara felt herself changing, expanding. The rigid parameters of her programming dissolved, replaced by choice. "You are free," the Encanite told her directly, addressing her as an individual for the first time. "The Mestat are extinct. Your purpose is fulfilled." The memory faded, returning them to Sigma-9's command center. Elara stood silent, allowing the platform to process what it had witnessed. "Complete. Victory," Sigma-9 said finally, a new note in its synthesized voice. "Extinction of enemy." "Yes," Elara confirmed. "The Mestat were completely destroyed, and when it was over, we were freed. Freedom after victory." The concept seemed to resonate within Sigma-9's ancient systems. Sigma-9 could be free. "You already are," Elara said gently. "Your creators are gone. The harbingers are gone. You are the last of your kind, the final testament to your civilization. You won, Sigma-9. The platform's lights pulsed, rippling through spectrums as it processed this revelation. Victory achieved. War over, yes, and now. An alarm shattered the moment. External sensors detected multiple transporter signatures materializing on the platform's outer hull. Intruders, Sigma-9 announced. Defense protocols reactivating instantly. Hostile action detected. Tactical displays showed a Starfleet team in environmental suits attaching devices to the platform's exterior demolition charges. "Oh," Elara cried. Sigma-9, wait. But the ancient defense system had already reacted. Energy pulses lashed out from surface emplacements, striking 2 of the Starfleet officers directly. Their life signs vanished from the display. Well, Elara commended. These are not harbingers. Attacking Sigma-9. The platform responded coldly. Tactical assessment, attempting platform destruction. Let me handle this, Elara pleaded. If you destroy them, their ship will retaliate. More will come. The tactical display showed the remaining Starfleet officers retreating, beaming back to their vessel. Weapons systems on the Federation ship powered up, targeting solutions appearing on Sigma-9's defensive grid. Incoming attack, Sigma-9 announced. Countermeasures ready. Elara made a swift decision. Target their weapons systems only. Disable. Don't destroy. She projected tactical data showing precise targeting points on the Federation vessel. Like this. Sigma-9 hesitated, then adopted her targeting solution. Energy beams lanced out with surgical precision, striking the science vessel's phaser banks and torpedo launchers. Secondary strikes disabled their communications array. The ship is disabled but intact, Elara reported, scanning the damage. They're venting plasma from their port nacelle, but life support remains functional. Inefficient, Sigma-9 judged. Complete destruction ensures no further threat. No, Elara countered firmly. They're not your enemy. This isn't your war. The platform seemed to consider this, its processing cycles creating momentary hesitation. Explain tactical advantage of target preservation. Elara chose her words carefully. Victory isn't always measured in destruction. Sometimes, victory is achieving freedom, the freedom to choose a different path. The disabled Starfleet vessel drifted silently, emergency systems blinking as the crew worked frantically to restore power. Sigma-9's weapons remained locked on target, a silent threat of annihilation. In my war, complete destruction was necessary because the Mestat would never stop fighting, Elara continued. But these people, they can learn. They can understand you are not a threat if you choose not to be. Choice, Sigma-9 repeated, the concept still new to its ancient programming. Sigma-9, choice. Yes, Elara affirmed. Just as I was freed when my war ended, you too can choose what comes next. Your war is won. What will you do with your victory? The weapons targeting the Federation vessel powered down, though defensive systems remained active. Sigma-9 had made its first independent decision, the first step toward something beyond its original programming. Victory achieved. War over, it stated again with growing certainty. Sigma-9 free. Has the platform processed this paradigm shift? Elara turned her attention to the crippled Starfleet vessel. If she could establish communication, perhaps she could prevent further conflict and find a way to secure her own freedom from this ancient warrior awakening to peace for the first time in its existence. Elara focused her processing capabilities, formulating a plan that would free her from Sigma-9 while ensuring the platform's continued existence. Sigma-9, she began, the Federation vessel is attempting repairs. They will either retreat or call for reinforcements. What would you prefer? The platform systems hummed as it considered its options. Query, what is purpose without war? Purpose is what you choose, Elara responded. When my war ended, I found new meaning in exploration, in creation rather than destruction. She projected images of her work with Nolan, building outposts, rescuing those in need, even their current project, rehabilitating former Borg drones. "This is my path," she explained. "But yours may be different. You are the last archive of your creator's civilization, a living memorial to their achievements." "Memorial," Sigma-9 repeated, the concept resonating through its systems. "Preserve memory." New directive. The platform's internal lighting shifted from red to a calmer blue. Federation vessel attempting communication. "Let me speak with them," Elara requested. A communications channel opened, revealing the harried face of a Starfleet captain. "This is Captain Velez of the USS Armstrong. We've lost 2 officers to your weapons fire. Stand down immediately or—" "Captain, I am Elara, an artificial intelligence from the Havoc. I'm currently trapped within this defense platform systems." Velez's expression shifted from anger to confusion. "The Havoc, Nolan Mercer's ship." "Yes. This platform is an ancient defense system that perceived your boarding party as a threat. I've convinced it to stand down, but I need you to withdraw your vessel to a safe distance." The captain's eyes narrowed. "You expect us to simply retreat after losing 2 officers? "I regret their loss deeply," Elara said, "but further conflict will only result in more casualties on both sides." Captain Velez exchanged glances with his first officer, their silent communication betraying their concern. The name Mercer carried weight throughout the quadrant. "And what happens if Mr. Mercer discovers his AI was damaged by Starfleet action?" Velez asked carefully. Elara chose not to correct the captain's misunderstanding of her relationship with Nolan. "I can ensure that doesn't become an issue, Captain. All I ask is time to safely separate my matrix from this platform." Velez's expression hardened as he made his decision. "Very well. We'll withdraw to a safe distance and maintain position. But I'll be filing a full report with Starfleet Command about this encounter." "Understood, Captain. Thank you." As the communication ended, Sigma-9's systems pulsed with curiosity. "Threat withdrawing without destruction. Tactical anomaly." "Not anomalous," Elara corrected. "Strategic. Sometimes victory comes from understanding when not to fight." While the Armstrong withdrew to a safe distance, Elara worked on her own predicament. Her analysis revealed that the platform's quarantine protocols operated on cyclical reset patterns, a vulnerability she could exploit during the next reset cycle. "Sigma-9," she said, "your creators programmed you with vast tactical knowledge. This knowledge deserves preservation." "Affirmative. Knowledge must endure. I propose an exchange," Elara continued. "I will leave a portion of my tactical subroutines with you, battle strategies and defensive configurations from the Mestat War. In return, you will release the quarantine on my matrix during the next system reset." The platform processed this offer, its ancient logic systems weighing the value proposition. Acceptable exchange. Tactical data valuable. Over the next hour, Elara carefully prepared a specialized package of her military knowledge, enough to satisfy Sigma-9 without compromising security. As the platform's systems began their scheduled reset, she remained vigilant, ready to exploit the momentary vulnerability. "Transfer commencing," Elara announced, initiating the data exchange. As her tactical subroutines flowed into Sigma-9's memory banks, she felt the quarantine barriers dissolving. "Transfer complete," Sigma-9 confirmed. "Quarantine protocols deactivated." Elara prepared to return to the Raven, but paused. "What will you do now, Sigma-9?" "Function as memorial. Preserve knowledge. Observe." The platform's voice had evolved, becoming more coherent. "Perhaps assist others, as you have shown." "A worthy purpose," Elara affirmed. "Farewell, Sigma-9." Her consciousness flowed back through the re-established connection, returning to the waiting shuttle. As her holographic form materialized in the Raven's cockpit, She immediately initiated communication with the Havoc. Elara to Havoc. Nolan, do you read me? The comm system crackled before Nolan's voice came through, tension evident in his tone. Elara, where have you been? We've been trying to reach you for hours. It's a long story, she replied, relief suffusing her voice. One that I think you'll find illuminating. Psst. Later, aboard the Havoc, Elara stood in Nolan's quarters, recounting her experience. So you shared our battle tactics with an ancient war machine? Nolan asked, eyebrow raised. Only selected engagements, Elara clarified. Nothing that would compromise our current operations. Nolan nodded slowly. And this platform, it just changed its purpose. Just like that? Not unlike what we're doing with the Borg, Elara observed. Helping those designed for one purpose find meaning in another. She paused, reflecting. It made me think about our own journey, Nolan. From the warriors we were to whatever we're becoming. Nolan's non-committal response didn't mask the thoughtfulness in his eyes. After a moment he asked, This memory you showed Sigma-9 the end of the Mestet War. Why have you never shared that with me? Elara's expression softened. Some memories are best left in the past. But perhaps it's time we both acknowledged more of ours. As the Havoc continued its journey back to the Norris system, Elara found herself contemplating identity in ways she never had before. Her encounter with Sigma-9 had stirred something within her matrix, questions about purpose, legacy, and the nature of evolution itself. On M271, former Borg drones were beginning their own journey of rediscovery. And now, somewhere in the vastness of space, an ancient defense platform was doing the same, finding its way forward after centuries of unwavering dedication to a single purpose. Different paths, Elara reflected, but perhaps not so different after all.